100% believer that if in 2024 the ANC remain completely in power on their own or in partnership with EFF, we need to get behind Capexit with all our resources possible and get Gayton McKenzie, the PA, to buy into it. Gayton might be the first president of the new Free Republic in Western Kent. Why not? But I think we need to, let's focus on 2024, trying to save our country from the ANC. And if we fail, let's get behind Capexit as urgently as possible.
If you have a look at the BizNews TV channel, you will see that the top 5 watched videos are all near around 500,000. And one of those in position number 2, but heading for position number 1, I'm sure soon, is Rob Hersov. And he's with us again today to give us an update on the way he's seeing things. Good to be with you, Rob. It was really, really interesting yesterday when I spoke with Frans Cronje, who I think we both know pretty well. He's an excellent political scientist. And I asked him, I said, people like Rob Hersov and Gayton McKenzie, are they irritating the South African voting public? And he said, not at all. He said that they're playing a very important role of an activist. And he said, even within the ANC, what Rob Hersov is saying is being listened to very carefully. So given the amount of stick that you've taken since that coming out, if you like, at the BizNews conference in September 2021, I guess at least that must make you feel that you are having an impact and a positive.
I hope so. There've been a lot of negatives in my life since then, in the last 18 months or so. I've been deplatformed, I've cut off by people, I've been line put through at certain credit committees of financial institutions, too political, disinvited from great events that I used to attend, whatever reason. So there have been some heavy negatives, cost me a lot of money, and I said exactly how, where. Last week alone, 10 days ago, I got deplatformed, day before an event at the Old Diocesan Union, Bishop's Old Boy Union. I'll tell you about that. And on it goes. So there's a ton of negatives in it. But the positives are the average woman and man in the street walking up to me, in fact, and happens 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Funny enough, the kind of opposite happened about half an hour ago. I was in the Vineyard Hotel with 2 business friends of mine, and we were just leaving. I was paying the bill, and this guy walked up, very nice looking white guy, shook my hand, and I thought it was just another guy saying, look, I've seen you on YouTube. He said, I've never met you before, shook my hand. And then he said, I'm your opposition, I'm your opponent. So I worked really hard. And he said, I'm a member of parliament for the ANC. And I went, geez, you shouldn't say that out loud. That's very embarrassing. And, he comes to, well, maybe if you want an intelligent meal at some time, we should have lunch. I said, I wouldn't be sitting dead in a room with you. I'm sorry, you're a member of parliament for the ANC. That's embarrassing. And he stormed off in a huff. It's just endless, and my buddy who was with me, and I won't mention his name, I said, why didn't you just stand up for me or laugh or do something? He said, I'm just not confrontation. And that's the problem. South Africans are wussies in general. They're just non-confrontation. And it takes the Frans Cronjes, the Alec Hoggs, the Roel Kozers, the Neil Frontins, and they're just few and far between that are standing up and telling it like it is. And poor Andre de Ruyter gets poisoned and fired for his honesty and bravery. Why are we doing it? It's an endless headache. And I've closed the doors to my study because my wife said, no more politics. You get really wound up and angry and upset. And it's just not good. It's snippy. So I shut the doors because I didn't tell her that I was doing this interview with you, but she'll find out.
So if we hear the door opening and a little bit of a domestic going on, we know why. Flying.
She's a good shot. She's a good sports athlete. So Alec, why am I doing it? So in my article, I wrote it like a month or so ago. I was hooting hard over whether sending to or not. Yeah, but increasingly people are going, what's your agenda? Why are you doing this? Why are you taking this flag? And I do not want to be in politics. I'm not starting a political party, despite what Gayton tells me I should do. And I'm not doing it. He says, 2 to 3% vote overnight. But then what? I'm not ever going to sit in Parliament, ever. But imagine listening to those idiots talk nonsense for hours. I can't do it. Or even to sit in a cabinet meeting with people that actually have no idea what they're doing. This applies to the ANC and they have no idea what they're doing. They have no competence. They barely read their homework. And they're owned by the mafia anyway. They're just doing what the mafia tell them to do. And then they tell Cyril what he has to do. I know a DA cabinet would be competent, and that would be useful. But I'm not really an age where I want to be a cabinet minister. So I'm not going into politics. Basta. Not going to happen. And I'm not doing it for business reasons. I actually say to my buddy-in-law this morning, if I don't do another investment in South Africa, I'm going to be happy. And in fact, I've decided not to, because I'm a bit factful with where South Africa is right now. I'm a bit depressed about where the country's going. These by-elections are depressing. What's going on in, the mayorships of these places up country is depressing. And, the DA, much as I back them and believe in them, I think they should be working out a deal with Gayton McKenzie and the PA. So I just feel very negative about South Africa. So I'm not doing it for business reasons, okay? Nick Ferguson and I made a bid for the 6 regional airports. We were told by Fakir and Beluda, no, we're not selling them. They're strategic assets. My response was, if they are strategic assets, you should sell them to the private sector as quickly as possible, because you, the ANC, only know how to break and steal strategic assets. You should get rid of them quickly. So we can say, but if we didn't buy the 6 regional airports, I'm fine with that. I don't want necessarily. I just thought we could invest, fix them, and make money. And so I'm not in it for any business reason. If I don't do another business in South Africa or investment in South Africa, I don't care any. Obviously, I like to drill in the Karoo because I think gas to power will give South Africa energy independence. And I agree with Gwede there. I think he's got to get on with it. I don't know why he's delaying. Lift the moratorium and let us take the risk of drilling. Let us find out how much gas we can produce. And then let's make a rational decision, private sector and country, on accelerating to energy independence, using offshore and onshore gas to power. And that's the only thing I would write a check for, is to do some drilling and find out what we could do there. But otherwise, I'm not investing anymore.
Now that article that you wrote was more than 11,000 people have read it. Around 100 people have taken enough interest in it to write a comment. And
is that a lot, by the way? Is 11,000 a lot for an article?
For a website, it's a lot. Of course, we know on YouTube those numbers are many exponentially greater, and I've got no doubt that this conversation will be seen by a heck of a lot more people than have read. People just don't read anymore, Rob. They watch. they prefer watching. But in that, it's almost like you might have motivated others to now start talking up. When you spoke for the first time in 2021, the business community was chup still. They didn't say anything. Behind your back, of course, they would have patted you on the back and said, thank you, Rob, for saying what the rest of us wanted to say. But there was very, very few people who came out and spoke. One of the guys that you mentioned in that talk, Sim Shabalala, has now himself come out and made some very strong statements where up to that point, or up to very recently, he was also one of those who felt that discretion was the better part of valor. So when you look at that, it's almost like you pulled the log out of the dam. But of course, I'm
glad you mentioned dam. Okay, the word dam, because my father, he was, is a pilot, loves his flying, aviation, 96 years old, 97s, yeah. I'm in the aviation business. Our family have got aviation, our blood. My dad said to me the other day, you're the dam buster. The great dam busters from the Second World War, bouncing bomb. He said, you're the first dam buster. You cracked the wall. And the wall is the impregnable ANC. I remember 6 years ago at the mining in Dalba, I was sitting there with Richard Fudebe, who I actually liked very much. And I said, Al, you guys are criminals. He goes, what do you mean? I said, the ANC, a bunch of criminals. You just know how to break and steal. she got really angry. She said, nobody speaks like that about the ANC. And 5 or 6 years ago, no one did. The ANC was this magical organization that said South Africa could only do good. We knew they weren't. No one would ever say it. And I guess the first speech, which you got me out there, and then Futsak ANC and other things, people are beginning to grow some, a bit of spine and starting to speak out. And Dad said, you're the dam buster. You're the first. You cracked the dam. We need more now. We need more planes flying and bouncing bombs. And that ANC dam will break. And Roel Koza, Pullinger of FNB, Gareth Ackerman, the LaRue and the Capexit crowd have spoken up. Johan Rupert was the only one standing in 2015 to 2018. I mean, he took pounding, but he was brave. I mean, he really did. The dam is cracked, and it'd be nice to see others. Well done, Sim Shabalala. It would be nice to see others standing up and not complaining about load shedding, because load shedding is created by the ANC, and saying it's an ANC problem. The ANC is the problem. I mean, you're never going to get a coward like Martin Kingston to say it, but big corporate leaders could, and more are starting to do it, which is great.
But again, talking with France yesterday, and he polls the ANC, the ANC voters a lot. He's made a speciality of it at the Social Research Foundation. And he said that the decline has stopped. And in fact, the DA's incline has also stopped. So it's almost like what's going on within these coalitions, where initially people had a lot of hope for it, has disappointed the voters so much that once again hopes have been broken. And we saw this by-election in Swellendam, the results of which were released this morning, or rather yesterday afternoon, which shows that because of the friction between the Patriotic Alliance, Gayton's party, and the DA, they both they split the vote and then were beaten by the ANC, which of course Fikile Mbolela is crowing about today. Well done, ANC, for coming in, and I think they got just over 30% of the vote, but they won the ward. Now that surely for someone who has risked so much, put so much out there from your perspective, has got to be a concerning situation, because if we see the opposition splitting the vote, well, who knows? France says at the moment the ANC is back above 50%.
Who knows? What I do know is that there's an issue between Helen Zille and Gayton McKenzie. I don't think it's a DA-PA issue. The DA and PA ought to be natural allies. I think they are natural allies and will in the future be working together very closely. And the ANC will be ejected in its entirety from the Western Cape. It doesn't deserve to be here. This is a well-run province. They can't break and steal, which is what they only know how to do. So I think Gayton's one of us. Alec, you've interviewed him. BizNews Tribe has met him. Not everyone's convinced, but he's got it in him to be one of us. He is one of us, meaning capitalist, free market, intelligent, decent, honest, unlike the ANC, which is the negative of all of those. But he and Helen have an issue. Helen called him a crook, basically. Corne Mulder was supposedly in those meetings, and Corne said, Gayton never said those things. He defended Gayton. I've never heard Gayton say anything ever untoward or dishonest or anything. So there's an issue there, and that's got to be resolved. It's a Helen Gayton issue. Like there's a Michael Beaumont Jollistine, there's preventing Action SA and the DA working closer together. And in the midst of this, you've got VF Plus and Inkatha doing a very, very good job with amazing Corne Mulders trying to hold it all together. And Inkatha are getting inroads in KZN against the ANC. So I don't think the ANC's back up to 50%. I think the secret infighting that is happening behind the scenes between Cyril Ramaphosa and Paul Mashatile is about to spill out into the open. They don't like each other. They don't believe in each other. I mean, Cyril's absolutely useless and spineless, as we all know. And he and Paul are going to go to war publicly very soon, and that will increasingly split the ANC. So I think there's a whole other dynamic coming.
But when we get back to the opposition, and the ANC have, despite those dynamics, managed to paper over the cracks sufficiently to still be running this country at the moment anyway. Where the opposition, it does appear, certainly France was saying that there was a missed opportunity, especially in those Gauteng metros and especially in Tshwane, where the audit report, he reckons, was as bad as you get anything from the Eastern Cape, an ANC-run government. That's what he said. And on top of that, they had the opportunity with the power stations that they could have grabbed and didn't. Why this reluctance if they really do want to show that they can govern this?
Alec, South Africa is shell-shocked. People are shell-shocked. Every single day, if you read the papers, if you go on BizNews, if you read Daily Maverick, IFF, the Daily Friend, you just delirious. It's more corruption by the ANC, more breaking by the ANC, more stealing. There's the Zondo Commission, there's the on-red narrator, there's load shedding. It's endless. And Katie, my wife, said to me, as you know, a few months ago, this is unbelievable. What is wrong with South Africans? They just sort of suck it in and accept all these terrible things. They should hit the streets and, strike and riot and get upset and get angry. I said, okay, well, I'll go and march with the DA up against the Tuli House, which I did. Not a single big business person was there. They was at home watching their rugby at Brian and just getting on with life. And that's the problem. South Africans are pathetically complacent. They'll give money to charity, but not to Action SA and DA and VF Plus and Inkatha. And with charity, it makes them feel good, but it's papering over the cracks. It's putting, plasters on the wounds created by the ANC. What we should be doing is giving the money to the opposition parties to get rid of the ANC. And it's the wrong way around. I guess maybe the smart South Africans are the ones that have left. They've said this is unfixable. We're out of here, and the flows are increasing. So, what's wrong with South Africans? They're just complacent. It's kind of shell-shocked, really.
Rob, two things to end off with. The one of them, I'm real sorry you weren't at the BizNews conference, because I tried my best to get the opposition parties talking. Certainly Gayton McKenzie and Herman Mashaba said, we would love to be in a room with the DA. Helen was not keen. So perhaps, are you able to broker that kind of a discussion? Because this by-election result has got to be sending shock signals through the DA headquarters. They have lost, sure, they would have lost to the PA anyway, by very small margins, but both of them lost out because of the splitting in the vote. Are you able to broker anything like that?
It's not what I want to do. When Helen made that accusation publicly of Gayton, I put out a brief video saying, listen, I know Gayton, never ever. He's not that guy. I can't believe he's ever said or done that. And then I called Conor Mulder, who said to me, Rob, he didn't. I was never in a meeting where he said it like that. I can't believe he ever would. And so I went and said, look, Helen's biggest fan. I think she's amazing. However, she's crossed the line here. She's made a big mistake. And I got a message from her saying, we must meet. Now, I didn't have that meeting because I was trumpet. She was trumpet. But I think I need to hear from her why the DA cannot work with Gayton. What is it? Do they have proof? Do they have something that I don't know? Or they've just been pig-headed. If they've been pig-headed, then I think, I can't do it on my own, but I think there's some great people with me to get them to see sense. We should be teaming up with Gayton McKenzie, the PA, and it boots from the ANC out of the Western Cape, out of the Northern Cape, and out of a lot of places up country.
And the issue between Michael Beaumont and John Steenhuisen, of course, is not publicly spoken about, but it involves a woman.
John is now married to Michael Beaumont's ex-wife. It's as simple as that. And Michael is a great guy. He's highly intelligent. I'm a big fan of his, but I just hearing from too many people that he's been blinded by that. And some decisions are being made, which he puts in Herman's ears, that on the back of his dislike for John. But John did marry her. So it wasn't like Anna said. He married her. Life's like that. But I think Michael's a bit blinded. So who knows?
But if you have these kind of personal issues that are now affecting at the very top where South Africa's going. Goodness, we need to get over them. The other story is the one about the future of South Africa. Were the EFF and the ANC to get enough votes in 2024 to take over government, which is something that R.W. Johnson believes is going to happen. What then happens to the Western Cape? I did the numbers yesterday. The vote that the ANC and the EFF have in the Western Cape is under 25%. So you've got a province which has a huge majority, over 75%, voting against your national government potentially in 2024. There are a lot of people who are saying that the Western Cape at that point will secede, that South Africans will then get really gatful, and or certainly people in the Western Cape, which is working. What's your
100% believer that if in 2024 the ANC remain completely in power on their own or in partnership with EFF, we need to get behind Capexit with all our resources possible and get Gayton McKenzie, the PA, to buy into it. Gayton might be the first president of the new Free Republic in Western Cape. Why not? But I think we need to, let's focus on 2024, trying to save the country from the ANC. And if we fail, let's get behind Capexit as urgently as possible. Everyone needs to. We need to get out of South Africa because the EFF will own the ANC and they will destroy this country faster than the ANC is doing it.
You said, why not, about Gayton McKenzie at the BizNews conference. He says his role model is who's a autocrat dictator. Yours?
I like Paul Kagame, like Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan, Paul Kagame, I can name a few more.
But surely they are the antithesis of Democrats.
Well, I think he's voted democratically. I mean, you may argue about that. But there's no question that he's benevolent, whatever his role is. He believes in his country. He's raised living standards. He's done incredible things for that country. What can I say? I like Paul Kagame.
And Gayton McKenzie could be that kind of person.
Be more of a democracy. This would be a democratic-run business, but Gayton has his right principles, right values, and he would be a very good first president of the Free Republic of the Western Cape. And the fact is, I asked him a question. I said, Gayton, you don't seem to have a bench, a cabinet of qualified people like the DA does. There's a minister, shadow minister, very good people, like Adley Whitfield and others. Beverly Schaefer's good, Diane Barnard's good, on and on and on. Excellent people. Tim George is superb. Gayton, you don't have those people. And he goes, if I'm elected as president, I will hire the best people on the basis of merit into each job. And that's the right answer.
Rob Hersov, as always, thanks for sharing your views and opinions as forthrightly as you always do. I'm Alec Hogg from BizNews.com.